Welcome to Secrets Unlocked. If you enjoy intimate confessions and forbidden stories, check the private archive linked in the description. Subscribe, settle in, and enjoy the story. In my own defense, I tried to move out the way. Maybe you should have tried harder, Mary said, struggling to get up. I would, but you have my hand pinned. She squirmed a bit more, which did little but change our position. Oh, this is ridiculous, she said, with some heat. I nodded my agreement. I mean, how often do you find yourself buried under more than 400 plastic pots, tangled up in gardening twine, with your hand pinned against your best friend's stepmother? Well, since his dad divorced her, I guess ex-stepmother would be the right term. After we graduated high school together, Ricky had headed off to college and was now living with his dad. Me, well, I was trying to make ends meet doing odd jobs till something. I still couldn't quite make up my mind what I wanted to do. Besides, I had to get out of this mess first. The hemp line, a long, thick rope of it, was what had held the stacks of pots to the wall. It slipped off its nail as we were cleaning, and the pots came down, bringing the string with it. We were then trapped under the old, black, plastic pots and wrapped up in about 20 feet of unbreakable hemp line. She tried to move again, but only managed to tighten the lines even more. Oh, for goodness sakes, would you at least try to turn me loose? She all but screamed. Mary, fine, I'll try. I shifted a bit and then felt a stack of plastic pots shift under me. I tried to move again and couldn't. I did notice that I had managed to, if anything, tighten my position even more against her. Well, did that help any? I asked sarcastically. I hope it did, cause I'm pinned even more now. She tried to wiggle, which just made the situation more awkward. With a sigh, she stopped and leaned back on me. This is ridiculous. You said that once already, I told her, trying to be helpful. She turned her head, trying to look me in the eye. Her short brunette hair brushed my face, and I found myself with my face almost touching her cheek. Greg, this is no laughing matter. How are we going to get out of here? I looked past her face to the roof of the garden shed. I let my eyes go to the still tottering stacks of plastic pots that had yet to fall on us. I knew that it would take very little movement to make them come down. Mary, I wish I had some idea. If we keep moving like we are, the rest of those will come down, and we will be truly buried. I pointed towards the pots with my chin. They're just plastic pots. Yes, they won't hurt us, but we can't get purchase on them. The plastic's too slick. It's like being in a ball pit. Plus, this damn line is not helping any. I tried to shift my other hand. It was trapped near her hip, and when I moved it, I could just reach her pocket. Your phone wouldn't be in that pocket, would it? I asked, with not much hope for that kind of luck. She shook her head, which caused a pot to move, which caused a second shift. Then I watched as another of the 10-foot-tall pot stacks leaned over. The pots separated as they come down on top of us, and we were even more covered in the dirty, smelly plastic. The reason again why you saved all these pots? I asked, when they settled at last. She gave a huff, then a sigh. I thought I might have a use for them some day, she answered. Has anyone defined hoarding to you before? I asked. Greg, I'm not a hoarder. Let me tell you, I would find that a lot more convincing if I wasn't buried under the results. She squirmed a bit, and another stack came down onto us. I could barely make out the ceiling now. I pushed a pot to the side with my head, only to have another one move and pop me on the head. I got a shower of old dirt into my ear for my efforts. I'm sorry, she said then. She sounded so defeated, I felt my heart nearly break. It's okay, Mary. I'm sorry I was being an ass. I know you've been trying to clean out. Believe me, I have appreciated the money for helping you. She shifted just a little to try and get more comfortable on top of me. For maybe the first time since I had known her, I wished she were a little less plump. The big, soft hips I had so admired, though most of my teens had a bit of weight to them after all. She leaned back against me again. I breathed deeply of her. The smell of her hair, the smell of a woman sweating. Deodorant, perfume, shampoo. A dozen scents combining to make this fragrance that was so near my face. She shifted her position again. Greg, is that your house keys? No, it's not, sorry. She moved again, and the tension between us grew. Greg, what is going on? She asked, then turning her head a bit to look down at me. I scoffed. I have a beautiful woman on my lap, and we are trapped like this. I would be surprised if I wasn't reacting. Sexy. Greg, have you gone blind? I'm 49 years old and built like a pear. She moved herself a little, and the proximity felt even more intense. Oh God, Lord, that's ridiculous. Now, stop it. I just lay there for a second after that demand. Mary, just how do you recommend I do that? Stop thinking thoughts like that about me. I felt a sudden desire to tease her. You mean like the time you jumped into the lake and your top came off your bathing suit? Yes. Or maybe when I saw you and Tom out in the hot tub one night from my window. Yes, what? Oh my God, did you watch us? She asked, trying to turn even more. The rope bit into my leg painfully as she did. Stop moving, you're just tightening up everything more. I gave her a bit of a push with the hand on her hip, and she slid back to where she was before. Another pile of pots came down as our reward. I was trying to get off of you. She moved her arm around and managed to get some of the pots from above us. And you didn't answer my question. Did you watch us? Mary, of course I did. She was silent for a very long time. You shouldn't have watched. That was a private moment. You should have had the manners to respect that, she chided me. If you had been in your bedroom, I would have. No, you were in the backyard, not 20 feet from my bedroom window. She went quiet again for a long time. I'm sorry you had to see that, she said, after more than a minute of embarrassed silence. You have no reason to apologize. It was an awesome sight. Hell, that little scene was a fantasy for me for years. Hell still is some nights. I chuckled as I saw her face flush. I cannot believe you just said that. I started to laugh, and after a moment of more blushing, so did she. We even kept laughing when the rest of the pots came crashing down on us. Oh, good Lord, she shook her head a bit. Well, now I guess we wait. Yeah. She shifted her weight slightly against me. Is this little incident going to be a fantasy for you some night to come? She asked. I chuckled. You kidding? It's kind of a fantasy for me now. How often does a guy my age get to hold a woman this long? She laughed and moved some more. Your fantasy is to have a fat woman tied to you while you can't move, and you're both buried under an avalanche of old planting pots. I never knew you were that kind of kinky, Greg. Stop that, she protested. Why, you seem to be enjoying teasing me. Fair is fair. She turned her head towards me. Our lips could almost touch. Please, Greg, don't. She sounded genuinely upset, so I stopped. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been teasing you just now. I'm sorry. Don't be. It felt good, I told her in a soft whisper right by her ear. Mary, would you be available this Friday night? She laughed, a soft chuckle. I may still be stuck here with you, but yeah, I've got no plans. Why? Are you asking me out? That would look wonderful. It would look like I'm having dinner with my son. I was thinking about going to a club more than dinner. What? She turned her head as far as she could to look at me. Some part of the rope slipped. Do that again, I demanded. What? She asked, puzzled. Laugh. Your laughter just loosened the rope a bit. She leaned back against me and went silent. After a moment, I had to ask, Why are you not laughing? She laid there quiet, not answering me. Mary, I'm sorry. Mary, what are you sorry about? I asked, wishing I could fully see her face. She didn't say anything. After a few minutes of the silence, I tried to move my head to see her face and got a pot full of dirt in the ear for my troubles. Mary, will you please either laugh or tell me why you're not? I demanded. I'm sorry, Greg. I was kind of starting to enjoy having you this close to me. I suddenly didn't want this to end. She gave a sigh. I'll try to laugh. The chuckle she forced out did little to make the rope move. Moving as much as I could, I shifted my left hand around on her hip. What are you doing? She demanded. Helping. My fingers tickled her between her hip and ribs. No, stop it, stop it. Screaming, she started to wiggle and thrash on top of me. I felt the rope slip away from my arm. Then she was turning to try and get away from my tickling fingers. I managed to move enough that I got my right arm free. Suddenly, I found myself face to face with her. I looked up into her face. I hate being tickled, she told me in gasps. My hands freed. I slid one up into her short brown hair. I know. Lifting up, I met her lips with mine, even as I pulled Mary back down into a kiss. Greg, she tried to say around my lips. Then I felt a pause and she was kissing me back. Every fantasy I had ever had about this woman paled in comparison to the actual reality of kissing her. She leaned into the kiss. In that moment, everything changed between us, and the old boundaries simply vanished. Slowly, after what felt like hours, she sat up. Greg, could we get out of here and go up to my room? I looked around at our bed of black plastic pots. This might be fun, but yeah, a bed sounds a lot more comfortable. She paused, looking down at my face, her fingers pressed into my chest. Are you a virgin? She asked me suddenly. I gave my head a shake. Having sex with yourself doesn't count, she said, with a lifted eyebrow. I smiled and shook my head. I talked a girl I dated in my senior year of high school into us doing it. We were together for about 2 months. We did it a few times. She said she didn't like it much and that I was a terrible kisser. Mary looked down at me puzzled, then chuckled. She was an idiot. You're a great kisser. I shrugged and then smiled as she came back down and started to kiss me again. Grinning, I nodded, and together we waded out of the deep pile of black plastic. I kicked them ahead of me like snow till we got to the door, then half-hopped out and kicked one off the end of my foot. Turning, I grabbed her and helped pull her out. My God, what a mess, I said, looking back into the shed. We'll throw them out later. Come on. Mary grabbed my arm and started to haul me towards the house. I dragged her to a stop. What? She demanded. With a raised eyebrow, I brushed my chest with my free hand, and a ton of black dirt dropped off. I don't fucking care, she told me with a shrug. I was thinking about the shower by the pool. She looked around at the houses surrounding hers. I saw a wicked grin cross her face. Why not? She said. Following her over to the pool, we stepped behind the privacy fence. In that moment, the tension between us finally broke, and the boundary we had been leaning toward all evening was crossed. Later, a quiet seriousness came over me as we looked each other in the eyes. I would love to do that, in fact. She grinned, snorted, and then gave her head a shake. I'm flattered, but no. If you were 10 years older and I was 10 younger, I might try to catch you like that, but... Mary, your age doesn't matter to me in the least. She looked at me and smiled. Greg, you're going to make a wonderful memory for me. I will keep you entertained for as long as you still want to be with me. But no, I won't let you end up trying to play nurse to an old lady in her last years. Anyway, she looked at me intently. I want to see if we truly belong together before I'll even think about making you a permanent feature in my life. She looked up and saw me watching her. So I will be your second, she asked softly. I nodded. You will be my ninth, she grinned up at me. I've had a lot more time than you have. I looked at her, appreciating her beauty and the warmth she exuded. Our words crossed each other as we both spoke at the same time. I looked up at her and smiled. Mary, I love the way you look. Really? She offered me her hands, and standing up, I found her in my arms, her lips gently kissing mine. Her soft warmth filled my arms. She began to push against my chest, driving me backwards, and then I felt her hand move from behind me. A metal squeak was my only warning. The shower hit me with a shockingly cold, then a slowly growing warm spray of water. I looked down at her grinning face. She looked to the right. I followed her gaze over to the hot tub. When I looked back down, she was smiling up at me. Want to make fantasy reality? My head was nodding, almost frantically. She smiled at my eagerness. Come on. She turned and walked towards the hot tub, and I followed. Together, we got the cover off. I noticed her looking around at the surrounding houses. I don't think anyone's at home at this time of day, I told her, as I took her hand and helped her to step into the tub. She nodded and sank into the bubbling water. Well, I knew it was going to be warm, but the feeling of it almost burning my skin as I stepped in was a shock. As it rose higher and higher, I flinched at the heat. Then I was chest deep into it, and the heat started to work its way deep into my back and sides. Her eyes opened, and we were just a foot apart looking into each other's eyes. I loved the way the water glinted on her eyelashes. So tell me, is the reality of being with me in the hot tub as good as your fantasy was? She asked. I was not even close to how wonderful this feels, I said. She grinned at me. I always did love this tub. It makes a fat woman feel skinny. I float. In that moment, the boundary between us was crossed, and the shared fantasy became our reality. Mama Mary, I'm home. The water in the hot tub continued to slosh for quite a bit, even though both of us stopped moving. Feeling the tension build, thousands of more private stories are waiting in my exclusive archive. The link is in the channel description. Hell, hearing my friend's voice and the squeak of the garden gate stopped me from breathing. Mary turned to look at him, her face red with blush. As I looked my oldest friend in the face, I was very conscious of the situation. Greg, he asked, looking at me as if not believing what he was seeing. Looking up at Mary, I saw her lips twitch, then mine did the same. As she sank into the tub, I could feel her silent laughter. Hey, Ricky, could you give us just a bit? I said, after a moment of silence with him just staring at me. He looked for a moment like he was going to get mad. Then he looked like he was going to get really mad. Then, as I was getting ready to maybe have to fight, I saw him smile. Just a hint of one, then it was gone. Yeah, I have a bag in the car. Let me go get that. Yeah. He turned and walked out the gate again. I heard him laughing after a moment. After he left, Mary started to lift herself up. Greg. I placed a soft kiss upon her lips. She kissed me back, then broke the kiss far quicker than I would have wished. Let me up, she saw my face. Don't worry, now let me go get dressed. As I watched her walk to the pool house and grab 2 towels, I found myself trying to figure out just what I was going to say to him. After all, what do you say to someone that just caught you? Mary brought a towel to me and leaned in to place a wet kiss on my lips, chasing thoughts away. Later, she whispered in promise. As I watched her walk to her back door with a large towel wrapped around her, I remember Ricky saying he had a bag in the car. Later could be awkward. I hope you enjoyed this story. More intimate confessions are waiting in the private archive linked in the description. Subscribe for the next story.